of Cambridgeshire. This is Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum.
سورة الفتح بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
إنا فتحنا لك فتحا.
Assalamu alaikum. Let's try that again. Good evening and welcome to the Property Wise Property Show. I'm your host, Kieron Bateman, and without any more technical difficulties, hopefully we can continue on with the show. You can call the studio and give us your thoughts on 01733 602 133. You can text us on 07411 191 062, or you can comment on any of the live streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. So there are loads of ways to get in touch. Love to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts on anything we discuss on this show. I am, as always, not alone. I am with my friend and mentor and co-host of this show, Mr. Shaz Nawaz. How are you, Shaz?
Very good, thank you. Kieron, how are you?
I am really good. It's been a really busy day.
I was really impressed. I thought Kieron's learned to speak Arabic.
I know, right?
You do. Yeah.
Every day's a school day. I might be learning. You never know.
Yeah, well, I look forward to it, but just so you know.
I mean, I'm
I
not,
don't
but...
speak Arabic. I won't have a clue what you're saying, by the way, but yeah.
But yeah, so it's been a busy week, hasn't it, Shaz?
It has. It's been nice and hot where you are, isn't it?
It has been nice and hot, and everyone is complaining about the heat. And sometimes I think, well, you know, when it's not warm, people complain that it's too cold and that it's never warm. Then it is warm, and people complain that it's too warm. I mean, do we make everyone Goldilocks, and it's got to be just right?
Yeah, well, some people like the heat, some like the cold, and some don't like either of them. So.
And as you know, I am more than comfortable in the heat.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
It's nice for a change.
An extra reason to smile. Why not?
Well, exactly that. Anyway, back to the show. So this week, as we promised last week, we're going to bring you a little bit of a process that Shaz and I use, and Shaz and I have built on how we find properties, fund properties. It's the F series, and there are a series of Fs that we use to help us with our property businesses. And so they run through a little 3 Fs to begin with, and these are overall all umbrella devices, if you like, and they are finding, funding, and finalising your property deals. And they work very, very well. And within them, we break them down into slightly smaller content, more bite-sized, manageable pieces, on how, depending on what sort of property we're looking for. So, do we want to start with property this week for a change and go through the F program?
Sounds like a good idea. It's always good to mix it up.
Well, you know, sometimes a change is as good as a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's veering swiftly into mindset. So let's get back to the property. So when you're looking to find a deal, there are certain things that you need to have in place that a lot of people skip over or jump through. And the first F within finding is fundamentals. You need to understand the fundamentals of what it is you're looking for, what to look for in a deal, what the local jargon is, because a lot of people get confused by a lot of the jargon used within the property world, don't they, Shaz?
Absolutely, and no matter which sector or industry or field or profession or vocation anybody is in, every single one of those has different words and different language to some extent that is only known to the people who work in that particular sector. So, for example, if we said BRR, that if you're not into property, that probably doesn't mean anything to you. Obviously, if you are, it means obviously buy, refurbish, rent, refinance. And if it's SA, previously what's SA? Well, SA is service accommodation, so on and so forth. So every sector has its own specific words and language and subsets to some extent.
Yeah, and I think I think it's summed up perfectly. Have you seen Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams?
I have, yes.
There is a brilliant scene in it where Robin Williams, his character, uses all the acrimonious lingo that is tied to the military in such a way that if it does get explained, but if you don't know what it all means, if the VP is such a VIP, should we keep it on the QT and say to VC? And you're just like, I'm sorry, what? But that's a prime example of how different industries, different fields, as you say, have their own language, and it's a really accessible one for people to go onto any streaming platform and find it, use it, watch it. But it'll help you understand as to what we mean by different languages within the sector.
Yeah, it's like a code, isn't it?
Yeah. And once you've cracked the code,
then you're part of the family.
Part of the family, which is fantastic. So, so when we're talking about the fundamentals of understand, what do we mean by that, Shaz, when we say the fundamentals of a property deal?
So it really starts off by saying understand, and obviously the word fundamentals to most people will mean the basics. So it's understanding those basic components that one has to be aware of before they go into a property deal. So understanding how property works, understanding why you're looking to buy, the type of property you're looking to buy, where you're looking to buy it, which we call obviously a gold mine area, how you're going to buy it, what kind of a return you're looking for, what other people or company or organizations you need to get the deal over the line, how you're going to actually find the deal, how you're going to fund it, which I know we're going to talk about later on, how it's going to be sustainable. So just understanding all the different little components, some of them are big components, by the way, which when all put together are going to enable you to have a deal, and at the end of the deal have a property, and obviously at the end of the property have cash flow, regular cash flow, and of course also capital appreciation. In that, of course, you'll need a solicitor, you'll need an accountant, you'll need some form of financing unless you're paying cash. You need to find out where you're going to get a deposit from, what kind of properties you're going to look at. Are you buying through an agent? Are you buying direct to vendor? Are you buying through auction? What form of auction is it? Are you going to then obviously keep the property? Are you going to sell the property? So there's a lot of different components which are the fundamentals of buying a property, and then alongside that, then you go one stage deeper, saying, okay, what process do I need to follow, and what things do I need to have in place? If I'm going to go to a solicitor, what's going to happen? Okay, they're going to do some searches and do all the legal work for you. Of course, you need some cash to pay for that. Then you need to find a bank or a third-party lender, or you may go through a broker for the financing. You need a deposit. So once you've identified each core component, then understand and work out what's required in each of those components to help you get the deal over the line.
And once you understand all of those key components, you can then start making decisions on what's the best business structure to do this deal in. Should you do it as a sole trader, limited company, limited liability partnership? You can start looking into that. You can start looking into what sort of deal you're doing. Are you doing a deal to SA? Are you, as you said earlier, Are you flipping? Are you, doing a commercial conversion? All of these things tie into the fundamentals of the property deal that you're doing, because it ain't no good buying a property, residential property, and trying to do a commercial conversion on it, because it ain't going to work. That's a decision you've got to make before you come to the table, before you even start looking at the deals. So understanding all of that is all wrapped around this idea of understanding the fundamentals of your property business. And there are many people out there, many well-versed people out there that are available, that can help you, that will help you, and can guide you on the right path within these things. But by understanding the fundamentals, you know what questions to ask. Because if I go to, say, a mortgage broker, for example, and say, I want to buy a house, that silence is the answer I'm going to get, because you've not given him any details. You haven't said, okay, well, I've got this much of a deposit, I've got this much cash available, I've done this check, I want to do it in this business structure, I want to do this property strategy. All these things factor into knowing which questions to ask and who to go to ask those questions. And if you don't have that information, you may as well ask an empty room.
Yeah, what's interesting, Kieron, is two things really. The first, when you talk about fundamentals, it disappoints me on behalf of the people that I speak to, but it doesn't surprise me. In that there are many people out there who haven't taken the time to get the fundamentals right. Maybe some of them don't understand or don't have the information, knowledge, experience, expertise, call it what you like. But I think not having access to information in today's world just isn't an excuse.
It's a poor excuse if it's an excuse at all.
Yeah, because they heard people talk about property. Okay, people around me who seem to be doing well, all or most of them, or quite a few of them, or a significant number of them are into property. So therefore, it must be a good thing. Let's just jump in head first, which as you know is always a bad idea. Secondly, as you said, somebody might say, "No, I want to buy a car." What do you reckon, Kieron? And of course, you'd say, "Well, I don't know. Your circumstances. What kind of a car do you want? What's your budget?" As you said, is it for yourself? Do you have family? Do you have children? Do you like playing golf or any other sport? Maybe might need a bigger boot. Do you have a pet like a dog, which you might have a certain need for an estate car or a 4x4, so on and so forth. Now with the car example, most people get it because people don't usually say to you, "I'm looking for a new car. What do you reckon?" Generally, some do, by the way, but most don't, because they'll give you some kind of context. Yet you're buying a house which is, let's say, on average 3, 4, 5 times or more higher than a car. But people don't ask the same question as they would do with a car. Whereas here's my specification, what I'm looking for. Okay, what should I do next? If that makes sense. So a much bigger purchase, 4, 5, 6 times as much, but people put less thought into it. Whereas if you're buying,
it's really bizarre, isn't it, when you think about it?
When you're spending 5 or 6 times as much, I think you spent 5 or 6 times as much effort, if not more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's almost, and forgive the analogy, but it's almost, people put a lot of thought and effort into, my next car, and to use your car analogy, one of the criteria for some people buying a car is, how does that car make me feel? How does it make me look? And they want a car with prestige. They want a car that fulfills all their other criteria, but also adds that little je ne sais quoi to it. And they put a lot of thought and effort into that. And car companies put a lot of effort into their marketing around the prestige of certain car brands or lack thereof, and all the rest of it. Yet, comparatively, most people buy a house virtually on a whim. They go round, look at it. Yeah, it looks all right. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll put an offer in. Wait, what?
Exactly. You're right. So you'd think people would do more research because it's costing them a lot more, and yet they do the opposite, which is to do less work. So I mean, like I said to you, this disappoints me, but doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, very, very much so. So after we've got the fundamentals in place, we move on to the true essence of finding a deal. And as you find a deal, these two next points kind of go hand in hand. It's because you've got your fundamentals in place, you now know what sort of deals you're looking for. You're looking for, properties that will lend themselves to serviced accommodation, for example, or you're looking for properties that lend themselves to commercial conversions. So now it's about finding the deal, and you can do that a number of ways. But the way we focused on quickest was good deal sources. Good deal sources will save you a lot of time and a lot of money in some cases, with the right criteria. But again, with deal sources, and forgive me for sounding like a broken record, you can't go to a deal sourcer and say, find me a property. If you go to the deal source with all your fundamentals in place and say, I'm looking for a property that will lend itself well to a commercial conversion, that's got planning in place, that fits this business structure, that fulfills this criteria, that criteria, the other criteria, minimum capacity once I convert it of 10 flats, for example. Now you're focusing them on, like a laser, onto a very specific target, which means you'll get a very specific result, as opposed to find me a house. And now you're rolling the dice and hoping for the best.
That's never a good strategy, is it?
Really isn't. But deal sources can be, when given the right information, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that. Not everybody out there will have access to a deal source. So there's obviously some of the ways of finding property, which I kind of covered under fundamentals. So it's if you're talking to agents, and obviously making sure that you're approaching 3 or 5 different agents, being very clear on the criteria that you're looking for, and then obviously liaising with them. It just surprises me again, where somebody goes in to see an agent, and then 4 weeks later says, I've heard nothing. Well, the agent's got probably 100 people ringing them up for properties, depending on where we are, the life cycle, economic life cycle of property. You've seen them once, okay, for the first time. You're not on their priority list. You've got to ring them up on a regular basis, chase them up, see what's going on until you do a deal or two. You're not going to be that important to them, with the best intentions in the world. You've got to be proactive, and then obviously looking at auctions and direct to vendor and all the other possibilities. But you're absolutely right. If you find a good deal sourcer, they are worth their weight in gold, because they will find you deals, and if they're a proper deal sourcer, they will find you deals which they haven't shared with anybody else, because that's what good deal sources do. Now, what you're doing there is, they're like an agent, but they're acting for you, and sometimes obviously they'll be acting for both sides. So you pay them as opposed to working with an estate agent, but the agent is obviously paid by the seller.
Yes.
So it's and some people can't get their head around that. Why am I paying for this one? I wouldn't pay for it through an estate agent. It's a different type of service, because they're going to do all the heavy lifting, the work for you, analyze the deal, and usually, okay, with a good deal sourcer, they're sharing a deal with you. If it doesn't work, then they might pass it on to another party. A bad deal sourcer, so to speak, will be sending the same deal to 50 other people, and an even worse deal sourcer, if you take for finding properties on Rightmove elsewhere, on other websites, and sharing those with you, when you could have just found them directly yourself. So you've just got to, like I said, find a good deal sourcer, and just like anything else, you've got to kiss a few frogs before you find that particular prince, and it takes time. But that is, in my experience, and your experience, of course, Kieran, the best way to find really good deals.
Yeah, and
you get what you pay for, simple as that. And an agent is acting on the other side. So some people think, the agent's giving me loads of inside information. No, they're not. They're obliged to act for the seller. So
never lose sight of that fact.
Yeah. Whatever information they're giving you is to make the sale, and then they have to have a very objective view, which is the seller is paying their fees, so therefore they are professionally obligated to act in their best interest. And I don't think anybody should be fooled by that whatsoever. They might become friendly with you, but they are not acting in your best interest, simply because they have to act in the best interest of the person paying their fees, which is their client, who is the seller. Simple as that. They're not doing anything wrong, by the way. They're doing everything right. That's the way it ought to be. With a deal sourcer, you're paying them a fee. So they are acting in your best interest. If both of you are paying them a fee, that makes it a little bit tricky. But then still, when they're giving you advice, they should be giving you advice based on obviously on an independent basis, looking at your best interest and not the seller's best interests. And that's where obviously deals also could get conflicted. But we're going off on a tangent here, so
let's bring it back.
Must come back to okay. There's different ways of finding property. And both Kieran and I believe deal sources are the best route that we know of so far.
Yeah, and something I will add on about attached to what you said about estate agents and they work for the vendor, and you having to be proactive with them and chase them and talk to them when you first start. And yes, it might get to a stage where now understanding that estate agents work for the seller doesn't mean they can't help you. And I think there's a clear distinction to be made there, because if you are known, liked and trusted by a particular estate agent and they know you are good at doing what you say you're going to do, if they present you with a good deal that gets a property off of their books so they get their commission, then sometimes they will work closer with you, but you've got to earn that. You've got to earn the right to have that trust level, because it doesn't come overnight. It comes from doing 4, 5, 6, 7 deals and not having them fall through, and not having the rug pulled out from under you, and not pulling the rug out from under anyone else, and being good at what you do and actually doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, rather than beating around the houses and chasing around the houses. Because I promise you, a lot of people go into estate agents every single day that are just kicking the tyres, as it were, and they don't have time for that.
Yeah, absolutely, because they've already got their target and they want to be selling houses, and not selling houses, and a seller or a vendor, as you say, will take that property elsewhere. Because the reason that they're selling us is because they want the property sold and they want the cash in their bank or whatever to invest elsewhere or do whatever they want to do with it. So they don't want to be wasting time and going on the houses, as you say.
Yeah, and sometimes a vendor will take a lower offer for a faster deal rather than sit on it for a higher price point. So it's something to be aware of when dealing with estate agents. But that's going on a whole different tangent. We could do an entire show just on.
No doubt. So what's the next F, Kieran?
So the next F is funding. And this is a broad overview. And obviously, Shaz and I are not financial advisors. So I suggest you, if you want any advice financially, you speak to a qualified professional who is authorised to give that sort of advice. These are just our observations as we have seen them over the years within our property businesses. And the first thing to know about funding your property portfolio is understanding finance. And when I say understanding finance, it's a very, very broad term. I mean, the different types of finance, where's your funding coming from? Is it a single venture? Is it savings? Is it, how are you doing that? Is it no money down? Is it a joint venture? Is it, from tier 1 banks? Is it tier 2 banks? Is it from a social platform? Is it family, friends? All of these are different sources of potential finance. And if the numbers stack up, I promise you, listeners, if the numbers stack up, if you take the numbers to, family and friends, it's surprising how often someone will go, actually, I've got a bit saved up. I'll go with you on that. Just because you're talking about it and you're talking about things in a positive way and you're demonstrating that you understand the fundamentals, and because the fundamentals lead on to how you have stacked up the deal stacks up, the deal works. If the deal works, people are willing to invest with you. And I think that's something that we will go on to further down the line in more depth. But the ability to speak to everyone you know about what it is you're doing and not being ashamed of it, being proud of what you're achieving and what you want to achieve, and not shying away from it, you'd be amazed at how many people are receptive to that. Because I have found in my journey that people who are good to you and want the best for you want you to succeed. And if they can help you succeed and it helps them succeed, then there's a discussion to be had. And I think that that's a really, really important fundamental of finance on that side of it to get through. With people are generally very afraid to talk about finance and money and that side of any business, any property. They don't like talking about anything financially related. And the more you talk about it, the more doors I think you'll find open up to you, because more people are you're willing to talk about it. Oh, so you're almost giving everyone else permission to talk about it with you. And the second you give them permission, as it were, I know you're not strictly given, but the second you give them permission to talk about it with you, you'll find a lot of people are very, very receptive to talking about your deals, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and trying to get involved in themselves. And on that note, we'll see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
You could be driving, you might be cooking, you could even be working. But whatever you're doing, you're also listening to Salam Radio. And if you're in business, your potential new customers could be listening too. So talk to them and let them know what you have to offer. Advertising on Salam Radio is affordable and effective. And by doing so, you're also supporting this valuable and important voice within the community. Call 07866 319 679 or find Salam Radio online and across social media.
Worried your tenants could stop paying their rent during this cost of living crisis? Next Move Estate and Letting Agents are offering landlords 12 months rent in advance. You'll get your rent paid for the whole year in advance. No strings attached. Too good to be true? It really is that simple. So get in touch with us today for this extremely limited offer. Call Next Move now on 01733 641 642 to find out how we can help.
Do you own a restaurant or takeaway? Cater Fair is an expert supplier of new and used commercial catering equipment. Visit caterfair.co.uk for quality equipment on sale at the lowest prices, or call us on 01733 310 115 or visit us at 11 Royce Road, Fengate, Peterborough.
Peterborough. Who said good quality fried and grilled chicken has to be expensive? At Sam's, we take pride in every piece of chicken that leaves our kitchen. Just one bite of our chicken or burgers is all it takes to realise we are the best. Visit us at our brand new place at 333 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PF. Or order a delivery through Just Eat, Uber or Deliveroo. Sam's, the home of great tasting chicken for over 30 years.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers, and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
Bite into something wonderfully tasty at Big Mouth, 349 Lincoln Road in Peterborough. Eating in for takeaway or delivery, Big Mouth now have a delicious new menu full of all your favourites. Crispy fried chicken, juicy smashed burgers, finger-licking piri-piri chicken, handmade pizzas, quality doner meat and so much more. So visit the family-friendly Big Mouth restaurant for fantastically fresh food. Call 01733 201020 or visit getbigmouthonline.com.
If you have an idea for a show and want to get involved, email.
Salam alaikum, good evening, and welcome back to the second half of the Property Wise Property Show. I'm your host, Kieron Bateman. I am here with Mr. Shaz Nawaz. He is here, honest. There he is, sounding very off in the distance there, but I think that just might be Zoom warming itself back up after that break. And while that warms up, don't forget you can call into the studio and get in touch with us and discuss anything we've discussed on the show or anything else properly related that you would like to. You can call us on 01733 602 133. You can text us on 07411 191 062, or you can comment on any of the live streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, and we would love to hear from you. So, just before the break, we were discussing the fundamentals of finance and understanding how to talk to others about finance and where we were going with it. And not everything in finance has to be loans or a mortgage or anything like that. You can do it with funding from JV partners, from partners in general, from personal savings, or from equity in your own current properties. And so there is, I mean, we've got a list of 80 odd ways of generating a substantial deposit or bridging loan or any of the methods on how to navigate the world of financial investment when you're looking at starting a property business or growing your property business, in fact. And I think it's something that people shouldn't be afraid of.
Kieran, you cover that comprehensively. Is sometimes people look to do a particular deal and then just look at one particular source. So they might look at one particular, let's say, high street bank, for example. And I always say, drop a list of all the different ways you can raise funding, and especially when you're buying property from an auction, or as you said earlier, that you're getting a good deal because you've said you'll complete quicker or quickly than anybody else. Then let's say you've got 20 different ways of raising funding. Well, explore 7, 8, 9 at the same time, simultaneously. Rather than doing it sequentially, one says no, go to the second, go to the third, go to the fourth. That kills time. And some people just do it one at a time. It's just going to take way too long, and you might end up losing a deal. So explore those avenues. As Kieran says, we've obviously got 80 odd, not obviously, but we've got 80 ways that we've come across, and quite a few of those we have utilized. So make your own list and then explore more than one at any one time, because you've heard me say this before, Kieran, the worst number in business is one. So having one client, one customer, one supplier, one product, one key employee that you rely on, one way of marketing, one way of getting leads, one way of converting leads, one of anything is a really bad number, because when that one goes wrong, you're in deep trouble.
But 100 is a really nice number.
It's a lovely number, isn't it?
Yeah, think about it logically. I mean,
especially if it has the word million after it.
Well, yeah, very much. Yeah, I would love to have that. But absolutely, if you've got, okay, let's scale it back a bit, but 10 good employees and one leaves because their partner relocates and they want to relocate with them, or, they've got, they decide that they want to go somewhere else. Losing that one employee will be a blow because they're a good employee, but you've got 10 of them and you can absorb it. If you've only got the one, as Shaz said, you're in deep trouble. And the same goes for, financing your property business. If you're exploring 10 ideas all at once someone has said yes, signed on the dotted line, and everything's proceeding, it doesn't as long as you do it right and ethically and properly, and you're upfront with everyone about what's going on and how you're doing things and how you're doing business, which I always think is the best way to do business, is to be honest from the start. Then you can go to the others and say, okay, well, we've only got so far in our negotiations, our discussions, our talks. So can we shelve this for now, and we'll come back to it later, possibly. But right now I'm going to go with a different service provider for whatever reason, because they're ready to go now and I'm ready to do the deal now. And here's the side benefit of doing simultaneous is, if you've got a good enough team around you, you understand the fundamentals, you've got you've spoken to one, you've agreed finance for one, and somebody else comes back to you and says, oh, but we're only 2 steps away from finance. You can go, okay, is there another deal I can do? Because I've already got finance in place. Great. And suddenly you're scaling in a way that you didn't think was possible before, just by doing something simultaneously.
Really, in business, when we're talking about property, Kieron, or anything else, nothing significant, generally speaking, happens when you do things sequentially. As you know, there's quite a few different plates spinning at the same time, and the more plates there are that are spinning,
And it makes my brain hurt sometimes.
Yeah, but it is and you've seen it, and you've heard me talk about it, and you've seen us do it all the time. So the stuff that's got to be happening simultaneously all the time. And it's not for everybody. But again, you heard me say, a messy kitchen is a productive kitchen because food is being cooked. A nice clean kitchen with nothing going on. Well, there's not much being cooked tonight. So simultaneously, in my world, as you know, and in your world as well now, even if it wasn't previously, outperforms, outbeats sequential any day of the week.
Yep. Yeah, it really does. And, I'll be honest, it took me a while to learn that, because I was very much rooted in the regime of do this, followed by do this, followed by do this. And that works for slow and steady, but it doesn't work for scaling, growth, benefit of everyone involved. It's a much slower, much more arduous way of doing things.
Yeah, and I think about you had in previous episodes, Tom Watson, founder of IBM, said, if you want to succeed, double your failure rate.
Double your failure rate, yep.
And the only way you do that is by doing a lot of stuff and finding out what works, what doesn't work, and get all the stuff out of the way that doesn't work, so you've got the stuff that does work, and then look to improve that. But that's funding done. Any more F's, my friend?
Yes, there is. And we move on now to finalization. And something that I'm going to add into all of this is, regardless of what you're doing, I implore you, I ask you, I promise you it will benefit you, but take note, document what you do, when you do, how you do. Because unless you've got an eidetic memory and perfect recall, it's very difficult to remember what you did, when you did it, how you did it, how everything came into place, how everything started together, what worked, what didn't work. I mean, you remember the big failures, but what about the minor failures that were more of a nuisance than a failure? But if you can iron them out, and you did iron them out eventually, but they took a few iterations because they were more on the back burner, if you've documented everything, you've created a streamlined process, and that streamlined process will stay with you. Exactly what Shaz and I are going through now. That streamlined process will allow you to apply that process to every deal, every business, every structure, so on and so forth. And you'll just feel every step, you'll refine it, you'll get it slicker, get it faster, get it better, improve it, refine it, improve it, refine it, improve it, refine it, until you've got a really, really slick machine that you are running from. And at that stage in your business, you can step away from your business and hand that process, that document over to someone else and say, follow this process, follow it to the letter, and you know it will work.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ali was asking me today, Kieran, and he said, "What's the first book that you read?" And I had to, cast my mind that far back. It's difficult to recall, but then it came to me. The first book I ever, business book that I ever read, through choice, i.e., I wanted to read a book, was a book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. And he talks exactly about all the things that you just said, in terms of having systems and processes to run a business. And he says if you don't have systems and processes, then you're not a process-dependent business, you're a people-dependent business, then therefore you don't have a business. And usually the person that the business relies on is you, and when you're not available or when you're looking to sell it, nobody wants to buy it because they think, well, if you're not in the business doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's not saleable, it's not, and therefore people aren't interested, and usually if it's not saleable, usually it's not scalable either because it's just totally depends on you.
And there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so much one person can do.
Exactly, and having systems and processes are extremely important. That's probably, in my view, the most important point we've made on this episode today.
I would agree with you. The first business related book I read a lot of mindset books before I moved on to business books. So I think the first mindset book was The Success Principles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I read 2 business books simultaneously. One because it's the one that everybody recommends, and it's Mindset / Business. You know the one, Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I read was actually a little closer to home, by an author you know, and I know.
Lucky.
A book called Money.
Yeah.
Rob Moore.
That's right. Rob Moore. That's right.
Yep. And
Wonderful book that is.
both very, very good books. Highly recommend. But anyway, we're deviating again now. And this is what processes help you stop doing, dear listeners, is they keep you focused and on track, so that you don't deviate down rabbit holes of books and what to read, what not to read.
No, but it's important. And again, you talk about simultaneous. Somebody who I used to work with, as you know, quite closely, used to speak on stage, and at times, Donald Trump used to be on that stage. And one of the first questions Trump asked the person I used to work with was, "What 3 books are you reading right now?" And he told me that he thought the 2 reasons why Trump asked him that question was A, to see if he's reading more than one book at a time, so is he worth talking to? Is he the kind of guy who invests in himself? And secondly, he was asking about more than one book at a time. So the other person might give him some titles which he hasn't read, and he would take note and then look to buy those books and read them. Now that's smart, isn't it? One obviously finding out how interesting the person may be, and whether they read a lot, and how broad their thinking is. And secondly, let me see if I can get 1 or 2 titles out of this person, because Trump understood he doesn't know everything, and obviously we're not here to talk about any one person or promote any one personal book, but it was an interesting way of doing things. So if you're reading 2 books at a time, Kieran, you're doing the right thing. The next thing is read 3 at a time.
Yep. And I think that's interesting that, if you're reading 1 book at a time, then you're still reading more, especially when it comes to personal development and business development, than a lot of other people. If you're reading 2 books at a time, then you are going to be leagues ahead of many, many, many people. And 3 books at a time is aspirational. It truly is, because you're absorbing information then at a speed that most people refuse to. And I say refuse to because a lot of people would rather sit in front of a computer or TV or, whatever their pleasure is, and zone out rather than absorb information and learn. And there's nothing wrong with that. I watch TV too. I'm not, demonizing it or saying it's a bad thing, but I am saying that I think everybody has time in a day to set aside to develop themselves, and being honest with yourself, knowing that you've got time. Even if you stick it in an audiobook on your way to work, on your way home from work, that's time that you can be learning, developing, growing. And okay, one audiobook on your way to and from work is not 3 books, but it's a start.
Effect of a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Exactly that. And that's the thing. Knowing that developing yourself is key to any type of success. I do truly believe that. And going on from that, the process that you follow to round off your property business growth, start, whatever, you've got that process in place now. You've documented everything. You know where you're going. You know what you're doing. You know what to refine. Let's talk about finalizing your deals. And when we talk about finalizing your deals, we're talking about knowing who should be in your power team. So, best will in the world, I need an accountant. Shaz, not so much. I'm not a property accountant. That's not my area of expertise. So, but I recognise that, I work very closely with someone who does have that area of expertise. And so, who is on your power team? What is it you can do better than anyone else? And what is it that other people will do better than you, and you need to delegate out, you need to give away? And, grow your power team. And it will take some time, as with all things, these things take time, learning who you work with, who you can't work with, who works similar to you, whose mindset is in alignment with yours. All these things, it's not necessarily just about paying the big bucks for the best people, although you do get what you pay for, especially in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen that so many times, haven't we, Kieran? So it's horses using the right tool for the right job at the right time in the right way. And of course, we've got another F, which again is strategy specific, which comes before finalize, which is fixing up if you're looking to flip.
Yep.
But that obviously, because it's only based on one particular strategy, we talk about those other Fs based on those strategies. So, but I thought I'd add that in case somebody's saying, well, when do we fix a property? Well, you fix it up after you obviously bought it, and if you're looking to flip it, or you're looking to do BRR and refinance it. So that comes in there. But yeah,
but alongside that, you will have your power team in place. So you will have maybe a project manager, maybe a quantity surveyor, maybe grounds workers, or DIY, not DIYers. Don't use DIYers.
A builder,
a professional in their industry to do the fixing up.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can outsource it all to them, which is the best way to do it.
It's in my opinion, it's the only way to do it. I don't have the time in a day to be fixing up a property or doing the work on a property, then realizing that I've not got the experience, I've not got the understanding, I've not got the expertise in carpentry, tiling, flooring, carpeting, any of plumbing, any of the electrics, I just don't have that expertise. So
I don't think most people have a significant. So yeah, you're right. So you just get other people to do that and do what you do best.
And if I go in and try and mess around with, the electrics or the woodworking, or, stay away from gas, stay away from, water pipes, stay away from, anything that's key. If I do it and get it wrong, well, then I've got to not only pay someone to fix what I broke, but I've also got to pay them to do it right. And I'd rather just skip that middle process and understand my own limitations and my own knowledge limitations, and go straight to paying someone to do it right the first time round, rather than making that mistake of thinking I can do it all. Because I can't.
That's right. Now, are you going to give us a sneak peek? Because obviously we have a limited amount of time.
We do, and as we promised last week, I have brought along with me the Entrepreneur's Cookbook.
So we won't get a chance to go through obviously the different stages today, but you're going to give us a sneak peek on what those stages are. Just the titles would be good.
Yep, sure. So for those of you who don't know, the Entrepreneur's Cookbook is the essential measures for business success that was written by ours truly, Shaz Nawaz. This is his book, and forgive the sound of the pages, but so if we go through the chapters of the book quickly, understanding the 6 stages of a business is chapter 1, and what a great place to start is knowing where you're going and where you need to have been to get to where.
What are those 6 stages, Kieran?
So those 6 stages are.
You're gonna have to find the page now. So while you
it's on page 12. So
there you go.
These guiding principles are set out within this book. So statistically, due to bad local market conditions, bad choices of business sector, or poor decision making, it's often a combination of all of these things, but these poor decision makings are what help businesses to fail. So before you bring your business into existence, you need to do your market research, make sure that you're well prepared for the specific marketplace that you're going into. Alongside that, you need to have a strategic business plan that identifies key objectives and targets. So, for that, you need to know what you're getting into. And this is going back to what we were talking about earlier about the fundamentals of what it is you're doing. Side note on that, not be able to answer these questions. Why should someone do business with you rather than any of your competitors? What's in it for them? Because we live in a world where people are all about what they want, and it's all about give and take. What are the core values of your business? Be clear on these, as they'll serve your business well as it continues to exist and expand. Next, you need to establish, in terms of establishing your startup date, make sure you're incorporated if you're going down a limited company route. Get the word out there that you're starting your business. The level of enthusiasm you have for your business will dictate the level of enthusiasm your customers have for the business, because they will have less enthusiasm than you do, unfortunately. But you can give them a high level of enthusiasm, but yours has to really, really be up there. Now that your business exists, it's established. Now you need to look at how it's going to evolve, and how your business is going to evolve and grow based on changing market conditions, based on what direction you choose to go in, based on 101 different factors. But something very key to be aware of. And then now your business is evolving. You're going to look at expanding your business, growing it, making sure it's better than it was before, and making it do that. And then once you've got all of those things in place and you've documented it and you've got your processes, and now your business is process driven, as we've discussed before, you can now experience exponential growth based on your strong foundations, and just build on them and grow your net of marketing and grow your network and grow your business. And then, is your business fit to endure? And do you want to exit right at the end? Are you going to exit your business? Are you going to keep it for many, many years? Or are you not?
today, and then you've covered quite a few E's too. There must be a pattern here.
I know. It's almost like we've researched this and we know what we're talking about because we do the same thing in the cookbook, in our property business. It's almost like we've got a process.
That we follow.
Imagine that. Imagine us eating the cake.
Wouldn't that be good?
Imagine that we are eating the cake that we are giving our listeners.
Telling people, advise them to do something and then doing it yourself first. Wouldn't that be a good thing, Kieron?
And that is something that I will end this show on, is just remember, whatever advice you take and whatever advice you choose to listen to, look at the people giving the advice. Have they been there, done that? And are they following their own advice? Because a lot of people will give advice and then do the opposite or do their own thing. And that is rarely a good thing. And on that note, take care, good night, God bless.
Bye-bye, good night.
You're listening to Salam Radio, and it's now time for Asr Azan.